Please call council back to the dais. So thank you all. Due to the situation that we have just encountered in the past week, the staff, the council's been working long hours. We're going to, I'm going to ask the city clerk to point out some items that we're going to continue to another meeting. And so we're going to hear a few items in our consent calendar this evening. So city clerk.
Thank you, Mayor. So the council will hear item 1C and 1D under special order of business. Consider the consent calendar, and the remainder of the items will be continued. I would like to note that item number 7, which is a public hearing for action on 3402 El Camino Real, which is a mixed-use project, the deck, will be continued specifically to May 29th. Thank you, Mayor.
Could I have a motion for that, please?
So moved.
Okay, there's a motion and a second. Please register your vote. And that passes unanimously. Okay, so our first item is the Cultural Commission presentation of upcoming events in June and July 2018. And we have Loretta here from the Cultural Commission, the chair. Welcome, Loretta.
Woo-hoo. Thank you, Mayor. Good evening, Council. Good evening, Mayor. Good evening, City Manager and Clerk. Hi, Wednesday. Yeah, this is not going to be quite as peppy as usual because, you know, a lot has happened, and I know I've still got a little bile happening, but that's how it goes sometimes. Okay, there we go. Yes, so the Cultural Commission, you can follow us on Facebook, Facebook/Cultural Commission. We've got assortment of programs and events throughout the year, including the upcoming concerts in the park, Friday Night Live, the commemorative series Art in Public Places, which is still on display until June 15th, community mixers, and lots of other things. We welcome people to join as volunteers for as a friend of the Cultural Commission. Here we've got the list of the current cultural commissioners. We are seeking a new commissioner. I want to mention first the commemorative series. It is going to be, June is Lesbian, Gay, Bisexual, Transgender, and Questioning Pride Month. I will remind people, although I'm sure people watching here, that voting is probably one of the most important things that we can do as a culture. There will be, voting is on June 5th. It is for the gubernatorial primary. There will be lots of things to vote on. And if you have not yet registered to vote and are eligible, you can go to the Registrar of Voters even to Election Day and do so. So for becoming a cultural commissioner, the application is due May 23rd by 5 p.m. to the city clerk's office. And then interviews will happen at a later time. We would really like it if you had background or interested related to cultural programming, whether that's art, music, performance, or multiculturalism. You need to attend monthly commission meetings, which are the first Monday of the month generally. It's a lot of work, so please have 5 to 7 hours per week available for our various commission duties. We need you to be a team player and community-oriented. And I have to let you know that the newest commissioner becomes secretary, which I find is a great way to get them up to speed. Some of the events coming, starting May 18th through June 9th, The Santa Clara Players will offer the ladies foursome that happens behind the Triton Museum in their plaza. You can go to scplayers.org to look into tickets. Should be a very fun play about four ladies remembering things. There's also the encore concert by the Santa Clara Chorale at St. Mark's Episcopal Church, June 3rd at 3 p.m. I'm told that it's becoming a quick favorite amongst people who go. You can scchorale.com. Concerts in the park coming up. The Megatones, June 15th, 6:30 to 8 p.m. It's one of our Friday performances at the Central Park Pavilion, completely free. This is a great dance band, and we look forward to having them encouraging us to get up and dance. And that's what I have for June, and I will see you next month.
Thank you. Thank you, Loretta. Thank you. Okay, thank you. Our next special order of business, we have a proclamation of Affordable Housing Week. Is Matthew Reed here? Oh, very good. Please come forward. I just want to make a couple comments and then have you make some comments as well. So as a special order of business this evening, I'd like to announce this week is Affordable Housing Week. SV at Home and its partner agencies have organized Affordable Housing Week events to bring to our community. They are here to raise awareness, educate, engage, activate, and unite around affordable housing issues, which are so topical and very important to us. At this time, I'd like to invite Matthew to go ahead and talk about affordable housing and your quest for affordable housing in our area, which is so important. And then we'd like to present you with a proclamation.
Great. Thank you, Mayor and Council.
Welcome.
My name is Matthew Reed. I'm the Policy Manager at Silicon Valley at Home. We're really pleased to be here. We did have a slightly larger group a couple of hours ago, but we will make sure that we share their...
You are televised, so yes.
Okay. So I'm happy to be receiving this recognition on behalf of Silicon Valley at Home and all of our partners. On behalf of all of our members, we thank the City Council of Santa Clara for proclaiming the week May 11th through the 18th as Affordable Housing Week, and for your leadership and commitment to partnering with us to respond to the region's epic housing crisis. Affordable Housing Week provides an opportunity for the community to learn, talk solutions, and build a movement, with the crisis deeply impacting thousands of families and individuals throughout the region, as well as the overall quality of life, health, and economy and social fabric of our cities. This conversation happening during Affordable Housing Week, these conversations are more timely than ever. There are a lot of events. We have 28 that are scheduled. I hope that you've received the information. Rather than take the time right now to describe them, I would ask people to go to siliconvalleyathome.org, and there's a full calendar there. We're pleased to be here this evening. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. And if you'd like to join us right up here, we invite the council to come down to take a photo. Closer.
There you go. 1, 2, 3. One more. 1, 2, 3. Great.
So our next order of business is a consent calendar. All items are approved with one motion unless there's items pulled for discussion.
Motion to approve.
Do we have any items pulled for discussion? Do you have any cards, Jennifer? Any member of the council? Any member of the public? Okay, there's a motion to approve the consent calendar and a second. Oh, sorry. Please register your vote. And that passes 6-0. And our last order of business is going to be public presentations. Do we have any speaker cards? Yes, are these all? Okay, thank you. Call up first William Davis, followed by Brian Darby. Please come forward. William Davis? No William Davis. Mr. Darby? Oh, he did? Okay, so Brian Darby, followed by Manuel Vieira.
Hello. I'm sorry about that.
No problem.
First of all, it was the group of people I work with. We've been in Santa Clara. You might see us traveling around
You
here.
can pull it up, Mr. Darby. Yeah, so you don't have to bend over.
We travel around a lot here, and it's a group of adults with developmental disabilities. And I've been a teacher there for 30 years, and sometimes perspective. And I taught a little, some of the students I've taught don't even know that we're on a planet. This is the solar system, the sun, you revolve around it. And we've sent machines and people to the moon, and hopefully sometime to Mars. I'm sad that as a species, we're not in the stars yet, but maybe. It's perspective. I saw a picture the other day on the internet, and it's a picture of Curiosity that turned towards the sunset on Mars, and it saw the sun, and you couldn't tell that it was Mars. You could if you were there and you were trying to breathe the air, what little there is of it. And I was just thinking, I wrote something, and I hope this helps some people. We left our home in search of wonder to see a sunset of our parent star from another land. We did not cross sea or sand, but space, not by ship or sail or steam, but rockets and gravity's sling. To a new horizon, once clouded in myth and mystery, now revealed, though dimly. A new home, as with voyages past, maybe someday, but not now. Just a view that should make us more grateful for the precious blue dot that we all call home. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for that. Manuel? Welcome.
I got hands out for every one of you, plus the city manager.
Okay. Thank you we'll get those.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. I haven't been here for a long time, so maybe out of character, but I do want to mention there's a problem I have in my neighborhood around Grant and Reed. And this has been going on for over a year. I've been very patient, trying to follow procedures of complaint bases, logging it in, pictures, talking to the police force and everything. And it came to my conclusion that the police are only as good as what tools they get. And I filed the complaint to the city manager on April 17th, 2018. Now, I've been waiting very patiently for a phone call back to have an appointment with her to discuss this matters that I have. On May 9th, I had a meeting with the code enforcement, building inspector, because I had a little bit of an issue on my warehouse down on Grand Street. And when you guys tell me I need to take care of things, I do. I got rid of the problem child that was there that was flooding the street up. And now I'm just asking for the same thing in return. But I never got a phone call back. But then I asked the code enforcement, can you tell the city manager that when am I going to talk to you? Well, that was on May 9th. On May 11th, Elizabeth calls me up, says, I got no complaint about you. I said, well, I filed it. So I had my secretary email them the complaint. I was very fortunate that Mr. Manuel called me up today at 4:30 and told me that he has called the police and we could have a meeting together and everything. But it's 4:30 on the 15th. This is done on the 17th. I own about 7 apartment complexes, a couple industrial buildings, houses, longtime resident, graduate of Santa Clara High, and I never saw the city acted so slow on doing something like this. And I feel for the police department due to the fact of the tow trucks will tow, the tow services, only one tow service tows RVs. Lima, I have saw them tow several RVs throughout that neighborhood. Everyone else has an excuse why they can't tow. I mean, you're under a rotation. You take the good with the bad. I don't understand why only one guy takes everything. In addition, there was an incident that happened about a week ago. The parking control is trying to take a trailer full of garbage and debris on Reed Street, right behind that abandoned, beautiful RV there up in the air. The tow guy could not move it, cannot tow it or anywhere. 2 days ago, that thing disappeared. I said, oh, great, it got towed. But I went down Reed Street going towards to another business I had to patronize. I passed the Builders Exchange on the right side. Guess where that trailer's at? It says moved down the street with all flat tires that the tow truck cannot move. Finish line cannot move, but someone else moved it. I don't understand the concept. And these are professionals, tow services, you guys are hired. I just hopefully that I could have a meeting with them, voice my opinion as a property owner and what I do on my private property tows, and maybe get something accomplished. Because like I said, picking and choosing what you tow is not fair for us as citizens. And I'm sure that my neighborhood is not the only one that has this issue. I just know that mine, they've been there for over a year living there with handicap placards, and I think this gentleman thinks he's VIP, and nothing has been done.
So, Mr. Vieira, this is all about the parking and the large vehicles here?
These
and
are all
being abandoned there?
Well,
Is
no,
that
they're living.
all these large vehicles?
Oh no, they're living there.
Oh,
It's
they're
new
living
residents,
inside.
no taxes or anything. They're just
Okay.
living. And then you have the public works. They go out there every 3 months, clean up all the garbage they put outside their RVs. By the way, if you guys are not familiar with what I'm talking about, it's the new home of the soccer park.
Right, no, we know where it is.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
And like I said, you guys have public
Yeah.
works cleaning everything up.
Okay.
Why do we need to clean it up? When we just clean up the RVs, we clean up the whole headache. What's it for all?
Thank you. Can I have a
Thank you.
consensus that we refer this to the city manager's office to get back to you immediately on this
I
issue?
appreciate it. I do want to note, Manuel did call me up today.
Oh, he did, yeah.
Okay, he was very nice of him.
Very good.
Thank you.
Oh, Councilmember Mahan, would
Yes,
you like
thank you.
to?
Mr. Vieira, are there any signs along Reeve Street that limit the size of the vehicles that can park there? We had this situation in a similar area out in the industrial area where they put up signs that says no vehicle over, I don't know, whatever it was, 10 feet in length or something. At least that way the police can ticket them.
Honestly, I know that on Parker Street, we do have 2-hour parking in certain areas.
Not our parking.
But regarding,
size limits.
not that I'm aware of at
Okay,
this
so
time.
maybe the city manager by consensus can consider that too as part of the referral.
City
to look
manager?
into those kinds of solutions.
I will work with staff to do a write-up on some of the policy issues that we'll need to bring forward to the council. It is something that I am aware of. It is relatively complex and may require the council's action, but I will put something in the weekly
Right.
blog, and Manuel will continue to reach out to this gentleman.
It didn't take council action to put up those kinds of signage. It just limits the vehicle length. And that way, if they exceed the vehicle length, they can be ticketed, because towing is not the answer, because they can come back or they can just be moved. But if you limit the size of the vehicles for health and safety reasons, it doesn't need council action. It can just be done through Public Works, and then that should, eliminate those vehicles from being able to park
I do know
there.
that the city of San Jose has I have another industrial property in San Jose by the fairground, by the flea market. And they do have a restriction of no vehicle higher than 6 feet parking in the roadway. So that's
Yeah,
maybe a
those kinds
suggestion
of
too
solutions,
that
those
that
kinds of
falls under.
things can solve these
Refer
kinds of
that.
problems.
Thank
But
you.
thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Vieira. Next, we have Mr. Andrew Boone and then Ms. Yuki Akizi.
Good evening. My name is Andrew Boone. I live in East Palo Alto. I'm a former planning commissioner of that city. I come here to speak because Santa Clara is a big city. It affects me a lot and my friends and my family, the decisions you make. One thing I want to say is I agree very much with Council Member Mahan's urging that you elect the next city council member to replace Dominic Caserta and do not appoint a city council member. When you appoint someone, you're deciding democracy is not important, or 1/7 of the council doesn't need to be represented by people who we chose in a free and fair election. There's no other large city in Santa Clara County that has an appointed council member right now. I don't know if there's any member at all. San Jose faced this situation as well in late 2014. They had a vacancy in District 4 and decided to appoint a temporary council member who was not eligible to run for re-election. That was Margie Matthews. She was a former council member, and specifically to have a special election, to let the special election go ahead and elect a council member. I'm glad that that will be on the agenda next week. I don't know if I can come and comment, but if you appoint someone, basically we have an illegitimate person serving on the council. We should not have that. We, the people, should decide who our representatives are. Secondly, one point that I've made many times before, but it doesn't seem to be changing anything in the policy of this city, is the very poor conditions for people walking and bicycling in Santa Clara. I mostly bicycle in Santa Clara since I'm far from my home. I need a bicycle to get this far. When I travel through this city, the conditions suddenly get worse. I take Monroe Avenue usually. That's the most direct route between Mountain View and San Jose. There are no bike lanes on Monroe through this city, but then there are suddenly when you cross into Sunnyvale. And then on the route, there are, again, bike lanes that appear suddenly on Park in San Jose. So your neighbors have decided that conditions are not good enough for bicycling and need to be improved, and several years ago took some major steps toward doing that, especially San Jose. San Jose has built a lot of new infrastructure in its downtown, and so this city needs to catch up. This city needs to take it seriously, because over the next 10 years, this is crunch time. If we do not drastically slash our greenhouse gas emissions worldwide, we are condemning the planet to not be able to sustain advanced life forms. Scientists now say that all large animal species will probably go extinct even if we change nothing. That is a drastic situation. It is a crisis, and the least you can do is get us some damn bike lanes. Thank you.
Thank you. Yuki, please come forward. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you, Mayor, council members. I was I started today's meeting listening to it at home because I thought, there'll be a lot of people here. And then as I listened to the speakers, speak up about the issue of the council member who quit, I wanted to come here and speak about my experience, but I didn't get here in time. But I'm kind of glad that I'm talking to you now because, we don't have a big crowd. And what I'd like to talk about is a need to have a sexual harassment training in our city. And I'd like to relate to you the experience I had as a member of the Planning Commission. I'd like to thank Councilmember O'Neill for a call to examine ourselves, because I really think that we need to look at what we do, what the city is doing, and how we handle harassment issues. Currently, I serve on the Planning Commission, and I am the chair this year. And I get nothing but respect from my fellow commissioners. And I make sure that when I run the meetings, that everyone is treated fairly, with respect, and everyone has a chance to speak out. But that was not always the case when I first joined the commission, Planning Commission 6 years ago. And in 2015, I had to file a sexual harassment complaint against one of my fellow commission members. And I was very disappointed by the way that my complaint was handled by the city. All the people who listened, who responded to my complaint are gone now. So I'm not saying this to complain about any individuals or anything that anything that people did. But I still think that the city is lacking in a formal procedure on how to address complaints and to make sure that it doesn't happen in the first place. So let me tell you a little bit about what happened. When I first complained, well, what this person, this other commissioner was doing was, he was very touchy-feely, very handsy. He pinched me when I ran into him in at community events, and I put up with it for a while. But my friends on my friends on the commission encouraged me to speak up, because I shouldn't have to put up with it. So I brought this up with the staff member, and I heard back from the somebody who was a city attorney back then. He called me on my cell phone, and he discouraged me from pursuing this in the first place. What he said was that, if it was my personal issue, I should confront with this person personally and not have to go through the city. I was pretty surprised, because that's not how harassment issues are handled in a modern workplace. And then what he said to me was, well, if I pursue this, then I'm going to destroy any relationship I have with this fellow commissioner. So I had to explain to him that, firstly, I don't have any relationship with the person who harasses me, and that what he's suggesting is completely unacceptable in any private sector workplace. So it really exposed to me the issues that the city has. And so I persisted and I insisted that he talks to this person, and he finally did. And what I heard back from him was that he diffused the situation and that it shouldn't happen again. But that's the least level of response that I expected. I really expected a formal response from the city on what the city was doing to make sure that this doesn't happen again. And I also suggested that there should be a training on sexual harassment, because as people who spoke today have pointed out, there are people with really old-fashioned idea about the acceptable ways to treat their other people, and especially women. And I think city has a responsibility to train them, to at least tell them what is the acceptable way to treat other people in the work setting. They can do whatever they want in the private setting, but at work, they need to be told what to do. And I think it's not too late for the city to think about instituting a formal procedure and to have a sexual harassment complaint training, because it's a standard practice throughout the many workplaces. So if you could look into that, I really appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Kezi, for bringing that forward. I wasn't aware of that, and we are definitely taking that seriously, and I saw the city manager taking notes. I'd like to bring that back at a different time. I know we have some training. City Attorney, you look like you want to speak.
I would just like to assure the public and any commissioners and any employees that the way the previous city attorney, and I don't know which one that might have been, but I can assure the public that I would not treat such a complaint in a similar fashion, that I take these matters extremely seriously. I believe that the city has a duty to protect all of its employees, including its commissioners. And if you feel, and I hear, and I had understood that there was mandatory training, but I will look into what else we can do in conjunction with the city manager. And I think it's probably appropriate for us to bring back at some future date. I don't want to promise which date it would be, but a discussion of what training is currently provided, as well as what we might do to improve that. Because
to enhance and improve
I think it's
yeah.
really important at this juncture that we have that we increase the consciousness around this whole area, and that we bring forward something that the public can assure
it's time
us
for this. Yes,
we can be assured that we're taking this very seriously, and we do not want this kind of thing to be going on.
Thank you. I appreciate that. And
Thank you, City
as I
Attorney.
mentioned at the beginning, all the people who responded to my complaint back then are not here anymore. So this is not a comment directed at any individual. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Mahan?
Yes, thank you, and thank you, Mr. Doyle. I know you would treat this very seriously and perhaps obviously very differently. And I do want to clarify for the record that the situation of which Ms. Ikezi speaks has nothing to do with Mr. Caserta. It was something else entirely. However, it does point out the need, and the mandatory training we do now is just part of an individual training, and it's mostly online. So when you bring back options, we had a speaker here today from Santa Clara University who specializes in that, and I think some kind of hands-on, in-house training for council members and commissioners is a good place to start. So I hope you consider that as one of the options, or consult with her. Maybe she has some ideas as well.
I think what I'm hearing, and I was concerned about some of the comments that I heard put in the record, because they do speak to our workplace here. While the issues have been surrounding, in particular, council member issues of inappropriate conduct or sexual harassment, a lot of comments around bullying in the workplace were raised. And we need to bring greater awareness to what is acceptable behavior in the workplace and what is not acceptable. And also allow for any city employee who feels that they've been subject to that behavior to come forward as well. And so there's a lot of work to do based on the comments. We'll probably have to watch the video a couple of times and hear testimony from council members to understand what is the right program, training, and more particularly, how do we equip our staff so that as people make casual comments that they have information at hand in order to handle these items appropriately.
Right, in a clear and precise, path if anyone does feel that they've been, mistreated in whatever way, a safe path that they can talk to someone and submit their complaints in a confidential, safe way, I think is really important. All right, well, thank you. Thank you, Yuki, for bringing that forward. Took a lot of bravery. Thank you. All right, any other speakers for public presentations? Okay, seeing none. Oh, I'm sorry. Welcome back.
Thank you. I have a video I'd like to play, if that's okay.
Have
And the
that.
video, I promise, is 2 minutes and 58 seconds long. Will the audio play as well? You think so? Okay, and I will just yield my time to the video.
Here's Santa Clara. Back in 2016, Santa Clarans voted yes on some amazing measures, from establishing lifetime term limits for our council to passing Measure R that protects our parks from being sold to developers with a record-breaking 90% yes vote. Well, in 2017, the Charter Review Committee that brought you those amazing measures got back to work and unanimously recommended Measure A to go on this year's ballot, and the City Council agreed. A yes vote on Measure A would improve the way we elect our city council by empowering local neighborhoods with better representation and to take away the power from dark money groups and outside influences. Some people ask, but what's wrong with how we elect our council today? Well, let me explain. Today, Santa Clara elects its council using what's called a numbered seat system. Candidates declare what seat they want to run for, but that seat number has no bearing on where the candidate or their voters live. Candidates try to game the system by jockeying for which seat they choose to run for, solely based on who they think they can beat. But what if two people you like are running against each other for one seat, and you don't like any of the candidates running for the other seat? Tough luck for you, because even though there's 2 seats open, you only get to vote for one of your favorites and not both. Also, with the seat system, candidates don't even need a majority to win. And worst of all, is that a seat system allows outside influences and dark money groups to run teams of candidates that would do their bidding. Well, we can make it better. Enter Measure A. Measure A improves our voting system by creating 2 districts, with 3 council members representing each district. This ensures that we get balanced representation throughout the city, with council members who can focus on and be held accountable to the unique needs of their neighborhoods. Measure A also closes the loophole of candidates winning without majority support by using ranked choice voting. All candidates run against each other, and voters rank them based on their preference. You rank your favorite candidate first, your second favorite second, and so on. After the votes are tallied up, the top 3 candidates win. It's as easy as 1, 2, 3, and we would only start to use ranked choice voting when the best technology is available. Easy peasy, right? Well, not so fast. There's a robust and well-funded opposition who, unsurprisingly, don't even live in Santa Clara, represent special interest groups, and are suing the city for potentially millions of dollars. They are hoping that if Measure A fails, through their lawsuit, they can convince a judge to impose on Santa Clara 7 easily gerrymandered districts and prevent us from electing our own mayor. Thankfully, the opposition doesn't live in Santa Clara, and they don't get to decide what's best for us. So, let's recap. A no vote on Measure A keeps our current system that's prone to outside influence groups and opens the door for 7 districts with no elected mayor. While a yes vote on Measure A enhances our current system to ensure council members better represent their local neighborhoods for our beautifully diverse city. I think the choice is clear. Come June 5th, vote yes on Measure A.
Thank you. With 2 seconds to spare.
Thank you. Any other public presentations? Please come forward.
Hello, thank you very much for the video. I felt like a commercial in the middle of the city council meeting. But I'll also say that whether it's by appointment or by election in the next 30 days, or for the June elections, if we don't have things like Measure A in place, it's going to be the same outcome, which is we're either going to appoint with the city council we have here, or we're going to have an election with the same system that was deemed broken, which elected the city council people. And I think at some point, we need to fix this, and we need to do it a different way. Again, it's not diversity of ethnicity. It's not diversity of gender or sex that I'm worried about. It is actually diversity of thought. And these are the kinds of things that I really want voters to think about and think different, right? This is the kind of thing that I'm worried about, which is how we divvy things up. That doesn't work if people aren't thinking about how we make things different. And at some point, I would like a little bit of change. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Any other public presentations? Please come forward. Okay, seeing none, I think that's the end of our agenda. So is there a motion to adjourn? Motion, second? Oh, I thought we deferred. Did we defer everything else? Yes, we did. We voted on that. So
I thought you were scaring me.
there's a motion and a second for adjournment. Yes. I said.
Motion from Councilmember Mahan, but I missed the second.
Was there a second? Who's second?
To
Someone
adjourn?
second, please.
To adjourn.
Can
Yes.
someone second this?
Second.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Please register your vote.
That was moved also. Yes.
Can you please register your vote, everyone?
I did.
Thank you. And that passes 6-0. Meeting's adjourned. Thank you.
Okay, let him look shell-shocked.